Hello. Today I'm making this video just to address the hand frame. We're gonna talk about the hand frame today, right? Um, okay. So why am I talking about the hand frame, right? I see a lot of people play like this, where they have their hand natural, which is fine, because playing naturally is fine, right? But they're playing that they're playing the first three notes correctly, right? But once you reach your fourth finger, they have to either adjust their wrist like doing this, by doing this, or they have to bend their elbow doing that. And what I want is, that's not good. Cause why? Cause when you're gonna play fast passages, right, that incorporate fourth finger, you're gonna have to adjust, which is not efficient. When you practice, you want to make things more easier for yourself, right? You want to make violin playing as efficient as you can, and that incorporates the least movements. So let's say I'm doing this. How do we find our hand frame? So we're gonna start with B on our A string, and if you try to play fourth finger, you see how I have to extend my fourth finger like that? That shouldn't be the case. So I want you to move your elbow until your fourth finger is also raised up like this. You see how it's raised instead of before I had to stretch it like that? It should be stretched like that. It shouldn't be stretched like that. I want you to move your elbow, so with your whole hand, so move your elbow like this, okay? And move it so your fourth finger is also raised, like, it should be like U. I should be able to stick a pencil in there and not, it should be straight, basically. Okay? So like this. So adjust your elbow until your fourth finger is a U shape. Okay, now that's a U shape, right? I don't want you to move anything. I don't want you to move anything about your hand. Your elbow, I want you to keep it the same exact place, right? Now I want you to play B on the A string. And C, E. Look, I had to adjust it again because it wasn't. So let's see, if you're still having to adjust now, so you don't have to adjust later. So it requires a lot of tweaking and doing it yourself, but once you get this hand frame correctly, it's gonna really help you. So I'm gonna do it again. So adjust it, my fourth finger. Now all my fingers, my fourth finger doesn't move to adjust for my other fingers. So now I'm good with this string, right? One thing I will say, if you do have longer pinky, you can play like this. I had someone that went to AFA. He had the longest fingers I've ever seen. But yeah, he could play like this, and he would still be able to reach your fourth finger without having to flatten it, basically. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, now that you do it with your fourth finger, as adjust again. Now I do with the A. A on D string. And now I do with the D on the G string, right? And you see, when I string cross, right, I don't move my wrist. I don't string cross like that. Because if you string cross like that, right, let's say you have the perfect hand frame on the G string, your pinky is a U shape, perfect U shape, right? But once I start to string cross using only my wrist, look what happens. It comes back to the position where your hand is straight out and you have to reach your pinky. That's not good. So what I want you to do is practice moving, string crossing with your elbow. And a good exercise to incorporate focusing on your fourth finger and also moving your elbow is doing this. So I want you to do open G string. You you see, I caught myself having my fingers raised, but I keep your 3 fingers as close to the string as possible as well. Right? And I want you to do that until you can have a perfect hand frame for your 4th finger without having to use your wrist, moving your wrist, and only moving your elbow. Okay? You see how, look, my wrist, I'm not moving like this. I'm moving like this. Okay. And now that you have this, you can add variations. Now you can do scales down. Right? And then you can do that for all the strings. I can never get B into it. And what that does as well, once you emphasize your 4th finger, like, okay, your hand frame doesn't come from your 1st finger. It doesn't come from your 1st finger. It does, like where you put your thumb and where you put this part on your instrument does matter, right? I put it right here. I put this part on my instrument, but it depends how long your fingers are. So if your fingers are really long, you go lower. But if it's shorter, you can almost go to like your bass knuckles right here, okay, like this. Wow, that's actually really, really comfortable. I might start playing like that. See, I just learned something new too. And so, what was I saying? Basically, your 4-finger string crossing. When you're string crossing, I want you to focus where your 4th finger is. I don't want you to focus where your 1st finger is, okay? Because once you get your 4th finger down for all the strings, your fingers are naturally gonna follow it because it's good. Your fingers are just gonna be mallets now. You're just gonna press down, okay? It's gonna come down naturally. They're just gonna come down naturally. And that also helps relieve tension from your thumb squeezing on the 1st finger and thumb. Because now that you're emphasizing with your 4th finger, most of the pressure is gonna come from here. Well, it's not pressure, but it's more, think of it like emphasis. And now that your hand frame is adjusted to your 4th finger, your fingers are gonna naturally want to come down without like the minimum pressure, okay? So, the main takeaways. I know it wasn't really, the video wasn't really cohesive, but just make sure, the main points to take away from this, when you're string crossing, make sure you're moving your elbow and not your wrist, okay? Because if you move your wrist, you're gonna F up your hand frame. Your hand frame should stay the same the whole time. Because once you're basically playing the same, like, it's a pattern, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the same for everything, for all the strings. It doesn't change at all, okay? So having your hand frame the same helps you play more in tune because you're just moving your elbow now instead of you're having to adjust every position for each note, okay? So your hand frame adjusts to your 4th finger as well. That's gonna help you with intonation and it's gonna help you with relaxation from squeezing on the violin neck and just basically playing with less pressure, okay? So also a good exercise to build this is I don't know why, but my storage ran out. But anyway, as I was saying, good exercise to do is and then add a scale to it. Do variations. And once you get to the point where none of this shifts, that's when you've achieved a better hand frame. And this is really good to practice in a mirror. Like as I'm recording, I'm looking at my elbow, where it is, if it's moving or not, right? So use a mirror when you're practicing. That's really helpful. So that's all for today. Next time I might discuss how to do another exercise, which will help relieve thumb pressure, which a lot of I think a lot of people, you know, they squeeze on their necks like you're choking your violin. But yes, today that's all. Thank you for watching.